So first of all, homeopaths to understand.
Let me come to today's guest. As you know, today our guest is Professor Dr. Rashmi Shukla.
Hi, this is Dr. Rashmi Shukla, founder of HomeoEd. One single application to provide you with all of this. Here we have highly qualified, legendary BHMS faculties to teach and groom you throughout your BHMS journey. We have got courses right from 1999. So what are you waiting for? Download the application now to avail exciting offer and make your journey memorable from BHMS student to doctor now.
audible now?
Yes, now it's okay.
All right. So actually, I just could not get a little more time to articulate the things, but my screen is enabled, and now I can speak, I guess. And I think the screen should be visible too.
Maybe it's not visible now.
Yes, I'm trying.
Yes,
Is
now
it visible?
now it is visible.
Thank you. All right. So many part one, part two, part three sort of things while doing all that. There were certain things that left really unspoken and undiscussed. So that's why just that by that time, Sahani sir also invited me for the presentation, and I gave him this topic. And meanwhile, suddenly Ganesh sir also invited. So first of all, thank you to both of these guys because that's the exact time then when I choose to study. Because in runny timings it is really tough to find time and really introspect, study, research, review. But I would really thank to both of you and the platform of IFPH who give which gives me an opportunity to really look back into my study books and study material and see what all I should have been doing. So I hope that things would be uh, in flow when, because the thing is that when I say, or when, because I have presented several aspects of the current past, so I thought let me cover this future too. So uh, mm, futuristic medicine is something that I my that was my most favorite thing, because that was the time when I and that I think that everyone, all of us, need to have a real good look at what futuristic medicine should be, and how homeopathy is going to survive for the future challenges. So there had been several topics that I was trying to cover, and now today it's like come to the point, the most relevant point that I am trying to figure out with this particular presentation. So first of all, futuristic homeopathy doesn't mean that we need to replace homeopathy, its terminology, but we really need to reinterpret basically what our cardinal principle is about, what Hahnemann wanted to say. So we really need to reinterpret what everything means that had been written down as thoroughly and as importantly by our masters. So we really need to reinterpret in a better light. The second thing that the very seriously needs to be addressed is what we call that the fundamental principle basically which we have to look back and learn and again stabilize ourselves, that fundamental principles are always timeless. There are no changes, they are going to be the eternal. That's why Hahnemann always called it as nature's law, because they are eternal, they'll not change. But definitely the explanation needs to be more modernized based on the various biomedical sciences, various researches that are coming up. So various, because the medical paradigm is changing and the societal needs are also changing, and the patient that they are coming to us is really modern, and they are really seeking some more authentic explanation to what homeopathy really means, how it is going to help them. So it's an essence that we need to upgrade, because we have to really overcome the historical stagnation of homeopathy. Yes, partly stagnation. I'd call it as a stagnation, because some of you will say, ma'am, aisa thodi hai, government is giving funds, researches are going on, this, that. But the students studying in the BHMS are studying Hahnemann's organon, and that's a very basic and fundamental thing. But at side by side, he must be exposed to the ongoing researches within his college curriculum, which is unfortunately not. So that's why I would practically call as a historical stagnation of homeopathy. If you see Gray's Anatomy, the first publication was 1912, and I think when I was in like 10 years back, and I think it took, nowadays it is 84th or 85th edition of Gray's Anatomy. See, the human was same. Okay, parts have not evolved. They are very same still. Yet that anatomy textbooks has gone minimum 80 to 100 revisions and upgrades, which like no, nothing is changed in anatomy. But with modern advancement, the perspective, vision, and the clarity of everything has changed, improved, and improvised. So similar thing. So see, anatomy is such a static thing, but physiology and the whole medical is such a dynamic thing. So if that can change, then why should not we? So that's why I would call as historical stagnation, because homeopathy is really stuck into history, and if you get stuck into history, you cannot craft the future. So that's the ultimate thing that we need to really mm, really seriously taking care into. So homeopathy remained stagnant since 1842, because that was the master's last masterpiece that was there. And that's why the pace, the old school of medicine was so primitive as compared to what Hahnemann was narrating that time. And now we sound to be primitive. So because we are declining the relevance, because we are failing to keep a pace with the advancements. So modernization basically is very essential to align homeopathy with contemporary biomedical science and restore its acceptance in medical community. I remember very clearly when I was preparing for a case that was almost turned RA negative, and I was invited to speak as main speaker in Hamai conference in Goa. Back then, I when I wanted to understand the pathophysiological and molecular autoimmunity demonstration of rheumatoid arthritis, that was very well available on the internet. But when I wanted that how my Rustox or how my Apis or how my Nitromure given in that particular case has or might have acted over the said case, unfortunately that details were not available. So the thing is, this is where we are failing. This is where the explanations are lagging, and this is where we really need to work out. All right. So how should we getting ourselves integrated with the modern sciences? First of all, basically we need to have been upgrade, that we have definitely upgraded, because we are being taught the modern syllabus, that modern disease understanding. I'm not saying that we should be like in either side, but we should always be in that synergy, the which Hubbard Robert and Stuart Close has tried to maintain. They always had been correlating what Hahnemann and homeopathic principles are meaning, and you would see that definitely the timeline, like first was the Kane, then Robert, and then Close. So you see in these three philosophies there had been consequent evolution of the discussion. The case taking, all of them have discussed. Miasms, all of them have discussed. So if you see the various all the philosophical topics they have discussed are almost same, but the evolution is visible. And if you see timeline, the Close was latest, and Kent was like last, like mm, the who wrote the things at first. So there has been the evolution. Then we nowadays also we read several organ and scriptures, but mostly they are around explanation of the physiology than redefining what organon and its principle really means, the concept of homeopathy really means. So understanding disease through genetic and molecular pathway is crucial to establish the relevance, allowing practitioner to reinterpret classical principles in the light of current scientific knowledge. It is like indispensable. It is very important. Second is genetic expression insights. So you see, the modern medicine really is claiming that they have got a penetration and action over various genetic expression, which factually they don't. But the way they have now evolving and shifting to the administration and the various nano level they have launched themselves as in. So but essentially homeopathy had always been acting over genetics. We have to just claim that rights that we had, and we can, and we will. So emerging research are suggesting that ultra diluted substances, the emerging researchers, all most of updated things I have explained in my previous presentation of mysteries behind homeopathic drug dynamization. So we can really correlate that how nano level the homeopathy, energy level homeopathy is acting, and where it is exactly reaching, and what kind of difference it might have been creating, because that is the knowledge gap again we need to conduct several research over. And now the molecular interaction impact, which is very important. I always been approached by the professor of VNIT chemistry department, who always request me that I should be part of the research project where homeopathy at a molecular level, how it is behaving within in vitro studies, and how what kind of difference it is creating in the various cellular structures. So molecular interaction impact has to be studied more clearly, integrating the biochemistry into homeopathy basically, so that how homeopathy basically is influencing the health through molecular interaction, affecting cellular behavior and disease process. This is very very important. So this is where again the knowledge gap that does exist, and we need to improve. Of course, once this is done, molecular level are done, it is very easy to establish the genetic pathways and health outcome, that how basically homeopathic medicine is bringing about the result. Now, if you see, we have got several the concept that had been attempted to define and establish and elaborate homeopathy. And what we could find it very thoroughly is this was something was not intended to replace the classical homeopathy and its fundamental and its name, but probably this could be the format that would explain homeopathy well. So personally, I align myself more with this kind of explanation, because I went to one of the interviews of the multidisciplinary setup, and it is one of the hugest institution of technology, and for a homeopathy consultant. And there, when the whole the what we say panel was sitting, as 5-7 people, and three of them were doctor, and most of them were engineers and high technocrats. And the question which is very commonly asked to homeopath is, what do you mean by homeo? So, of course, I knew and I studied it well that homeo, what we have learned is the medicines creating. So, I said that this homeopathy aligns, this word aligns with the nomenclature done by Hahnemann based on the property of medicines that are able to create similar suffering. But that doesn't really define homeopathy. Homeopathy indeed is defined by how effectively it is able to influence the immunity. And if you see, it is cold, common cold, to cancer. Everything is a game of immunity. And if our homeopathy is acting over everything, then definitely it is really influencing immunity in some or the other way. The promising results that we are bringing up into various autoimmune diseases is drastic like explanation of how homeopathy really is influencing the immunity. You see, for us it's like बोलते ना बाएं हाथ का खेल की, we just any autoimmune and allergies we are like master. So because homeopathy is master in influencing the immunity of the individual, correcting the immunological aberrations. So immunolopathy, that's why I align more with the name. And this is not the name, and we are not renaming homeopathy, but we are just conceptualizing and probably more scientifically explaining what homeopathy is actually about. So basically, this immunopathy basically represents the evolved homeopathic system that integrate immune and genetic mechanism, providing a modern approach to treatment and patient care through scientific validation. So here, this word also conveys that what exactly homeopathy does within the individual's body. So then again, the second question, that what homeopathy, how it goes inside, where it goes, and what changes it creates. So this term also explain that what exactly homeopathy is doing within the individual. So mechanism of action, basically homeopathic medicines interact genetic and cellular level and influence the gene expression. And it is like in last my presentation I have already explained that there had been researches where they have explained that how they influence genetic expression, restoring the biological balance, and how exactly the novel pathways, how the health issues are effectively and safely addressed. Again, this term also explains that technical integrity of homeopathy, because that is what now today's world is about, now today's crowd is about. They want everything is explainable, scientifically validating, and proof. Everyone want the evidence. So technical integration, this term even more defined, that exactly the several researches has also established that how indeed nanomedicine homeopathy is about. And this also like optimizing how about how it optimize the therapeutic outcome and modern diseases also. So superbug might come, the empirical, those who call us empirical, they fail and they come up with new drugs every 6 months, I think every 3 months. and our arsenic is still there, and it is doing what it was doing since 200 long years. But all new disease condition, even till COVID and probably Nipah, it will act. So but again, the process or the knowledge gap we need to fill up. So we are such a powerful entity, and we are not empirical, and we are highly based on the principles which are like eternal, they will never change. So that's why that is again the claim that we should be define that homeopathy is not empirical. Rather, those who call us empirical are the most empirical system. They are running the most empirical system in the world. They introduce vaccine, and they only say that vaccines are doing this, that. So you see. Now let us come to understand that the role of nanoscience, what kind of role nanoscience exactly can play in homeopathy. So nanoscience basically introduces ultra diluted nanomedicine that interact at cellular level and potentially modulating gene expression and restoring balance. So now this empowerment, if somehow we claim this empowerment will give us a greatest scientific advantage of all times right now, because we have shown our efficacy in COVID, we have shown our efficacy in all sort of multi drug resistant diseases. So the if we fill that gap by structured research, we are there to claim our place again. So again, what is required of homeopathy to become a medicine for future is more scientific validation and education. So when at start I was saying that we are stuck into the historical irrelevance, because students are not taught what is happening in homeopathy, how, what kind of advancement, what kind of researches are not done. Although nowadays I've heard that they are getting certain marks by for studying, probably second year, third year onwards, probably some journals or some references, probably they are getting marks, because students do just what is going to get them marks. So I think this research thing should also be probably a subject or probably a paper that they should be solving, so that it is mandatory for all the students to study what researches this year or last 5 years has happened, or any sector of specialization that might have happened, so that they study, they read, and at least for sake of writing in exams. Because even I was also a student, so the curriculum was so vast. I always used to, and every student, like any other and every other student, I don't remember any student can finish whole medicine ka course in 1 year. They cannot, and that's why they resort to reading only important and most asked and must have kind of questions and topics, and so that they are writing an exam. And until we again have to attempt for AI, PGT or MD, I don't think we study. And that's why I was thanking at the start of the presentation that because of this, at least I study. So this scientific validation and education has to be incorporated and synergized very well. So what kind of evidence is appropriate for homeopathy? This is a question to me, to you, from me. We have to decide whether systems biology, individualized outcome, epigenetic modulation, and longitudinal clinical patterns. I think all of them are required for homeopathy. And please mind it, research is not we have to be a part of big organization and do something big, but a single physician from his clinic can be a part of research, can create research papers by just collecting the good evidence, keeping all the records, and when the sufficient the sample size is done, then he can come up with the all the observations and conclusion of his research. So important of objective evidence, very important to emphasize the scientific testability of homeopathy. So people come to the conferences and give the presentation, tell that they have cured this case, that case, But I think the point is that when a person comes and says that I have treated 300 cases of say hypothyroidism, and this is what I've learned, this is the principle of management of hypothyroidism with homeopathy, and this is what I want to give as a recommendation, and this is the protocol of hypothyroidism. So I think more of this kind of standardization is required in homeopathy to be calling and sitting and fitting into the scientific hashtag. Now again, we should be also be part of or including the important of research of
All right. So again, we need to be part of research, which is very important, and that research is the research methodology that need to be endorsed by us is genetic analysis and molecular diagnosis. So, and they are mine, please believe me, it's not impossible, it's not tough, it's just the collaborating with the right partners. So if we collaborate somehow with any of the molecular lab or any of the genetic labs and conduct a clinical trial and understand and document the results, then probably it's as easy as I am presenting this particular presentation. So genetic analysis, basically it allows homeopaths to understand disease mechanism better, providing insight into gene expression and potential treatment pathways, thus enhancing the relevance of homeopathic practices in modern medicine. So molecular diagnostics basically is the another thing which is required to identify what kind of difference homeopathic medicines are making for biomarkers and disease states. So if we are treating the cases of cancers, so we should be able to demonstrate that how effectively we could block the expression of cancer causing genes, and how well we could really control the biomarkers. The very common biomarker that we have all of most of us have seen in their respective practice is the rheumatoid arthritis RA factor. Mostly the connective tissue disorders may ANA, dsDNA, all these biomarkers we can really reverse. In cases of lupus we can reverse, in cases of cancers we can reverse, we should document and show. So these are the disease state. Basically, homeopaths can validate their treatment efficacy. So that's why investigation is also important. All sort of investigation, but genetic analysis and molecular diagnostics are the real impression or implementation of what exactly the medicine has done, what exactly the treatment has done. Critic of homeopathic education. I had been rather critic of homeopathic education, but here I have written critique. So there is a difference between critic and critique. So critic where you criticize, and critique means you thoroughly trying to evaluate and understand basically. And after this understanding and being into education since I think almost 20 years or 16 years, what I could see is the curriculum is very fragmented. Uh, our norms, now the CBDC syllabus speaks it very well, it is very thorough, very relevant, but implementation is thoroughly fragmented, we all know that. Limited exposure to modern biology, of course, because exposure lab and infra of the institution, and lack of research methodology training, because that's not again the mark coming or compulsory subjects. And if that is not, then students will not study, institution will not conduct, and students will always think that Hahnemann, dynamis and homeopathy unscientific. So basically future homeopath must be both clinician and scientific thinker, and for that there should be a reasonable exposure, scientific exposure, research exposure to the students. So, after this historical reflection and future vision, we need to conclude that learning from past to innovate. And what clinical reflection I can derive from the practice is what we can see in day out practice is the patterns. The every individual, every suffering is based on the patterns, and which patterns we in homeopathy terms call as misms. Individual response over protocol, because the law of individualization. Clinical outcome, basically, which guides the inquiry that what next we should be researching. So everyone in their clinic, they can reflect over, they can document, and they can present. Now, what's the future? So the roadmap for the next phase of homeopathy is required to have the integration with modern biomedical sciences. So we need to really thorough and providing the students the effective platforms of understanding the homeopathic efficacy and clinical understanding through modern biomedical sciences. Research methodologies suited to individualization, curriculum reform, and practitioner training. It's very required. But I think MD, because it is part of curriculum, it is mandatory. That's why the research methodology are the part of PG courses, but UG it is sheer lacking, and which needs to be integrated. Again, we need to have more collaborations with the other systems of medicine, modern labs, and modern bio medical and biochemistry expertise, so that the collaborative and interdisciplinary approach is laid down and our survival is ensured. So basically, it is every medical system and every medical practitioner, it is ethically responsibility of everyone that we have to maintain while doing all this: patient safety, transparency, scientific humility, evidence guided practice. Of course, we should not be really uh, out of blue, out of hypothetically going on saying everything. So whenever even I present, I come up with all the study and I have explanation mostly. And if I don't have anything, then I ask you guys that what is your explanation or your say over it. So basically, the integrity of passion profession we need to maintain, and that is where that is what our master also taught us. So the decline of homeopathy basically in 20th century, after Kane's demise, after almost all the major stalwarts had passed away, because somewhere the modern medicine advanced very quickly. Specifically, see, understand, try to understand, modern medicine itself did not evolve much, but the way it incorporated all other, like it incorporated chemistry, biochemistry, the other investigation modalities. So the way it has it went on absorbing all this modernization, and somehow their lab got more refined, and they had all that modern explanation and equipments. So they are, that's why just modern, their medicine is still primitive. So please understand that. So but we really need to get into that shoes too, to establish and testify what homeopathy is about. So the future vision of integrated and evidence based medical system is basically we need to have a seamless integration with modern biomedical sciences, and basically scientific validation must be there to ensure the robust methodology, the way just I have laid down the with the illustration of hypothyroidism, for example, so that contemporary healthcare practices and education, and we are also at par with them. So what I have tried to do is basically the immunological and nanoscale perspective we have tried to establish. We have also tried to conceptualize the reinterpretation of classical homeopathic principle. We have done certain collaborative academic work with co-authors. So I have co-authored certain works around this same topic, and basically it is about have a healthy discussion and improvisation, and not conclusion, because science is always dynamic. Today the scene is this, and tomorrow probably the scene would be different. So that's how any and every system is surviving. So fittest, so to survive we have to be fittest and withstanding everything. So basically
let us understand the conclusion part of it is a scientific modernization, basically need for integration may scientific modernization where it is survival and relevance basically to the healthcare landscape. And another is we really need to, because wherever we go we have to be like collaborating with the all the other faculties and not competing. So that was the mistake that was done by our masters, which we need not to. We can still collaborate, and I think allied people are definitely ready to collaborate if we more practically and more professionally approach. We have to embrace the innovation, every and any innovation, right from technology to molecular and research based, so many evidences, the way molecular now advancement in vitro in situ. And I think previous presentation most of you must have been remembering that what level now the researchers can go up to, and that's what we can also do. Embrace and establish and study. I invite, through this presentation, I invite all of you to actively participate in transforming homeopathic landscape with scientifically validating systems. It does not take much. It takes just a structured documentation of every case that you are coming up with day in and day out, and probably understanding the patterns, establishing the facts, and then teaching to the platform so that the others are also learning. And this is how, and this is the only way to grow right now. So basically this is the future integration with mainstream medicine is is demanding, and this is where we need to evolve. So we need to evolve towards scientifically validated future so that we we craft a responsible future for homeopathy. And being this in this generation, it is necessary to uh, really evolve and be relevant, stay scientific. So basically now since we are approaching to end, and definitely I also have certain questions, you might also have certain questions, so I really need to understand that what are your opinions about how homeopathy should evolve without losing its soul. So this is something I want to the forum to be coming up with serious discussion. And what I could understand with all these studies and all these write-ups and all this publication is future of homeopathy will not be decided by tradition alone, nor by technology alone, but by how wisely we bring the two together. This is what I have understood. But definitely I can see that there are so many seniors who are there, and so many learned people. And again I thank everyone for patient listening and being really attentive to what I said. But definitely I'd like to really interact over how of the presentation. So I think this is the last slide of my presentation, and I think and this time I have come before Dhanesh sir to conclude. So I think this is something we should be now for open for discussion and interaction, so that we establish certain really take home points for all of us. So I think Dhanesh sir, this time I won.
Yes,
Yes.
Dr. Rashmi Shukla, it's really a very good session indeed, and you really show how important the research work and to improve the quality of homeopathy, and how we can move forward to bring homeopathy to the number one position. But we used to say that homeopathy, some people used to say that homeopathy is unscientific, but because of that, we were struggling for last so many decades, but things are entirely different now. Things have changed a lot since the research work undertaken by the CCRH, and so thereafter, so many doctors from different categories. They even in from private sector, from homeopathic medical colleges, guides, professors, all are doing excellent work in research, and we were able to upload some of our cases in homeopathic platforms, particularly in the website of CCRH and personal website of some of the doctors also. So this is a positive direction that we are moving. That means that we can prove the world that homeopathy is the most scientific system, just the scientific system in the world, because we have everything, not only the anatomy, physiology, pathology, but the research work by the research team, not by homeopathic doctors, but the researchers from other scientific field, particularly from physicists, chemists, and even mathematicians are engaging in developing homeopathy. That's why we were able to say that homeopathy. Some people are trying to prove that homeopathy has the medicinal particle emits by the latest technology of nanotechnology and so and so. But frankly, homeopathy is a system. What we are trying to do is that we are trying to prove the world that homeopathic medicine is having the medicine in it in the physical form. But we all know that homeopathy is an entirely different system. We are working on a dynamic plane, and that's the reason why we are not simply giving a dilution, but we are making some form of succussion, trituration, all these by all these methods. We are making the simple substance into dynamic form, and from the dynamic form, it is working on the dynamic plane of the patient, and that's how our homeopathic medicine is working, and that's the reason why we used to say we are selecting homeopathic medicine according with the personality of the rather than personality, or otherwise the individualization of a patient. Even in a single case of fever, we can prescribe even 100 remedies, because if the patient is hot, we may prescribe some hot remedies. If the patient is a chilly person, we may prescribe some chilly remedies. And if the person is of semi-thermal type, then we may have to shift into that category. And if a person is taking hot drinks and aversion to cold drinks, then intolerance to cold, then we will have to change accordingly. If a person take a small quantity of water, then and if someone is taking large quantity of water, someone is taking a sip by sip. In those conditions, also we have to individualize in that way. So that is means a specific man, each a patient specific as well as doctor specific, because some people prefer to prescribe in that way. Some people prescribe in a constitutional method. Some people what you observe in patient like that. But we will have to stick on with our principle, that is similia similibus currenter, as well as the scientific we know that homeopathy stands on a four-leg structure, which is having the scientific side, artistic side, philosophical side, and practical side. So all these things need to be considered in prescription. And if you are doing in such a wonderful way, then you will become a winner. And we need research in a different methodology rather than what the allopathists are doing. But the thing is that most of us are doing scientific research according with the in par with that what other allopathic doctors are doing. But frankly, no allopathic doctor is doing any research. It is done by a specific group of people, particularly the so-called medical companies, because they are. That's the reason why we know that a COVID vaccine was developed on all of a sudden without doing any work. But they told that this we have done all research work before. What they have done is they put some powder for making chapati, and they themselves made the chapati. They themselves took the chapati and they said, "Oh, what a beautiful, tasty chapati!" That was the research done by the so-called people from the scientific side. But it is a wrong methodology. You will have to follow the so-called protocol provided by the scientific world to the allopathy community, that you should do the work in that way. But we have our own methodology, and we will have to think. That's the reason why the CCRH has done a different kind of work with for finding the prophylactics for this COVID, and we were able to find arsenic amalgam, and particularly with the 30th potency. There are reasons behind that, and we have proven that it was work for 99.8% of persons like that, and that report was submitted to the Supreme Court. That is the most important point. Then, after reading the scientific research paper by the judge, honorable judges sitting in the Supreme Court, they agreed to give this homeopathic medicine as a prophylactic to the people for the so-called
Okay.
COVID. So this is what the research community can do, particularly a government-run organization called um, the CCRH, like that. Otherwise, nobody none of us will be able to, were able to give the so-called arsenic help to patients for persons as a preventive or a prophylactic at the time of COVID. So even now what is happening is that they are doing the so-called research work for giving prophylactics to all kind of diseases that comes. Even only 4 people suffer in 4 lakh people. They have started giving prophylactic vaccines. For example, Japanese encephalitis is on the rise nowadays, but just 1 or 2 cases are reported in all over Kerala, also, or all over India, sometimes up to 10. But they are giving vaccination for that. What purpose? What is the time to give these kind of vaccinations? This is a big question. That means that there is a science for that. That is the money science, economics. Sell the things, buy things, and that's what I would like to add to this session. And if anybody want to interact with the Dr. Rashmi Shukla, you can raise your hand so that we can allow you to speak yourself and come. Please raise your hand. I think Dr. Sinha is sir. Do you want to speak? Please unmute, sir. You can add something more to this session, sir. Please unmute, sir. Sir is not listening. Then I am inviting Dr. Ambrose, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Thaneji. Everyone, namaskar. And congratulations, Dr. Rashmi Shukla. Rashmi Shukla is the dynamic personality for presentation IFPH. They are good and wonderful presentation. Futuristic homeopathic science. Homeopathic science is a scientific medical science. Treat the patient, not the disease. Constitutional, personalized constitutional remedy, thought, fear, anger, dream, and behavior, life philosophy. है ना? तो homeopathic treatment, genetic autoimmune treatment, that carcinosin remedy, arsenic, genetic remedy, nosol remedy, and homeopathic dynamic science and nanotechnology, LM potency, 1M potency. So it is the homeopathic science is a very good science, and for good science and for futuristic science. So very, very, very thanks, Dr. Rashmi Shukla. Rashmi Shukla is the dynamic person. Thank you.
Now I invite Dr. Sheila to say a few words, and you can ask your question also.
Yes, sir. Very good evening to everyone. So, actually, ma'am, this topic is very important because now it is in this determines the future of homeopathy actually, because we need the evidence guided practice that is that leads to integrity of the profession. What you said is very true because this determines our future vision of homeopathy. Because always we are arguing, we treated so many cases, but when they ask the data, we lack the data. We don't have data to show them. That is always we are getting this feedback from that. So in this modern world, what you said is very important because for that, I think the authorities should take necessary steps to fulfill all the demands. What you said is very true because in future era, because we need when the modernization is coming, always they are asking the proof. Always they are asking. So I think this what this from the academic year itself, I think it should be started. I think so because in modern world, they need from the academic year, from the students itself, they are participating in the programs. Then I think it is better for the coming future. So we are totally agreeing with you, ma'am. So the session was very nice. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot, ma'am.
Thank you, Shilaji. And I think this should not end here. I want every one of us to pledge over collecting their expertise, disease condition, the number, documenting them well, recording them well, and probably many a times I've told Sani sir, and probably now I don't remember if we're talking the same with Danish sir, but over this platform, since time is left, so I have got an opportunity to speak over that. All of us can really not only just having discussion of all these things, we can also like join hands. For example, we can have a group of WhatsApp where we will just submit the number. Suppose I have 70 cases of hypothyroidism, Sina sir has 100 cases of hypothyroidism, and probably this whole group have around 1000 cases of hypothyroidism, and then we are creating a protocol for hypothyroidism. Again, we are not crossing the individualization limit, but definitely we can be able to have some demonstrable strategies of handling certain conditions, and that is called as standardization, where the students find the format of treatment. So similar conditions of their respective expertise can come together, join the numbers, discuss, document, and submit. So probably I think in IFPH, in the name of IFPH organization itself, the proposed projects can be submitted to CCRH, and probably who knows that the projects goes a long way and bring more laurels besides all these continuous academic activity. I think IFPH can easily get into the research activities too, and bring up and upgrade the things to the next level. So Dhanesh sir, if you have liked the idea, and any of one would have liked the idea, we should definitely forward this idea to Sahani sir and do the things.
Yes, exactly. That's what we are also planning. But the thing is that we are sitting in a different part, and most of us are sitting in different parts, and we are not able to. Almost all of them are practicing doctors, and all are interested in their own practice rather than putting some. That's the reason why we know that we were working for the last 1,977 days, but still the number of participants are comparatively less because people believe that what I am sitting over there and how. But only when we are sitting together and discussing such matters we will be able to move forward. We can do something for. But there are organizations from categories of homeopathic doctors alone. But this platform has a difference. We have homeopathy lovers also with us, and because of that, we were able to promote homeopathy with the people who are not aware about homeopathy also. So we are working hard to take these things into the general public so that That's the reason why we are uploading every videos every day, so that some people get an idea. Even today, I got a call from a person who were not committed to homeopathy, but he just watched one of our videos, and he was really surprised to know that homeopathy has such a wonderful treatment for so-called diseases. This is also a kind of research work. We can all the presentation here can be considered as an evidence, because all the faculties are coming over here, and they are giving something that will be there till the end of the world. Those who were interested in homeopathy can go back to the YouTube and see what homeopathic doctors are doing in everywhere, not only in Kerala, but in Bangalore or even Delhi or in India, but in Pakistan, West Germany, Canada, because all kind of doctors from different part of the world are coming over here and delivering their speeches. They were delivering their cases, they're delivering their experiences, etc. That means that homeopathy is there everywhere in the world. That is what we were able to prove the world, because you know that at the time of COVID, some of the IMA people came over the television set and say that homeopathy is banned in most part of the world. But then, because of through this communicating link of IFPH, we were able to prove the world that it is not that what he was talking was absolutely foolishness, and people ridicule those things, and that's what I would like to say. And Dr. Sheila wants to add something more. Yes, Dr. Sheila, you can add. Please unmute.
Nothing, sir. Nothing yet. I already talked to ma'am. Thank you so much.
Okay. So, Dr. Rashmi Shukla, you want to add anything more?
Nothing, sir. Take that research thing seriously. We can have MD students because the problem comes only with the documentation and recording. Rest of everything we are doing. So for documentation, we can have students who would be interested and learning. They'll also learn, and our documentation will also be done. So I think we can consider incorporating the MD students to uh, do away with the documentation, and I think there is nothing left as far as research thing is concerned.
Yes, now I invite Mr. Dr. Binoy to say vote of thanks to the session. Yes, please unmute.
Hi, Doctor. It was a very nice session. You covered almost all the scientific researches that are required in the homeopathy space. And there are probably a minor update. The current allopathic based scientific researches may be skewed. So we need to make sure the researches that are going to happen in the homeopathy space are more neutral and well defined, not skewed for any uh, particular space where money is more involved. We need to make sure a neutral platform is researching on homeopathy. It was a well thought out session, and you covered most of the areas. And we need a good initiative to address the aspects you covered. Thank you, doctor. Thank you very much from an ISP standpoint and all the doctors present here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.